Should we talk about Strange Darling?
Strange
My
darling.
Strange Darling?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about a couple who have a one night hookup, kinky hookup, and is running for their life.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Hey.
What? But yeah, I we saw this trailer in the theater. I thought it looked pretty interesting and we went to see it. I kind of like these weird little indie movies and usually I always have to go search them out for video on demand because they're not usually playing in the theater. But this one's playing in the theater, so that was kind of refreshing having these it kind of reminds me of like the 90s. I think we're past like the 80s nostalgia now, and we're kind of getting back into like the smaller, weirdo these indie movies that we used to come out all the time. They're really a lot of them influenced by Tarantino, and I can especially tell this was kind of like Tarantino esque in a way. It makes a point to say it was shot in 32 millimeter. I think it looks great.
How
It
do you,
looks
how can you tell if it's shot in 32 millimeter? And what does that mean?
it was shot on film. Most movies today are shot digitally because it's just cheaper that
Uh
way.
huh.
Shooting on film is pretty expensive, and you can tell because it's just got that grainy quality that movies probably before 2010, maybe before 2000 have.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the film grain.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. I like that texture though.
And it yeah, it feels like an actual movie made in the 90s
Yeah.
almost, but has Kyle Gallner in it. I always kind of gravitate towards his movies because he makes these weird oddball choices in movies. Dinner in America is one I watched recently. It's like one of my favorite recent comedies.
Buckle up! I drive fucking nuts!
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you probably recognize him in some stuff, but
Looks familiar, but I can never tell what movie he was in. It's just like
yeah,
also when I see him, I feel like I've seen this dude somewhere.
yeah, he's very much like a character actor. He's either the main character in an indie movie or like a side character in another major movie. Got Willa Fitzgerald, and she's the other lead, which I haven't seen her in anything. Like I looked at her filmography, I've never seen her anything, but she's like pretty impressive in this.
Yeah, I don't think I recognize her face either, but damn, she play a good character in this one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Ed Begley Jr. I know him from just a bunch of movies. He's the hippie mountain guy.
Okay.
Yeah, he apparently cooks his eggs with a whole stick of butter, which was that was like one of the most disturbing scenes to me. Him
I
seeing him like cook breakfast.
Yeah, but what was that all about? I don't know if there is like any deeper meaning
There,
into it.
it's just quirky characters for being quirky, like
Really?
yeah.
It's like it's a one shot of how they made a breakfast
Well,
sandwich.
before that, they're just sitting at a table. It's him and his wife, and they're just like staring at each other, kind of like giggling. And he gets up to make that weird breakfast.
Send your life
Uh,
to be that we
uh,
just sit on a table, we just stare at each
just
other
hurt
and
my
just.
arteries just seeing him cook that breakfast. But I'll move on from that.
But I learned the recipe just by looking at it.
No.
If you want that, I can do it.
Yeah, if you want to kill me. So the movie's created in 6 chapters, and the chapters are in a non-linear fashion where, that's how I say it's Tarantino-esque, and especially like some of the musical cues and shots and stuff. But I think the non-linear structure where it like begins with chapter 3, then goes to chapter 5, then goes to chapter 1. I think it's pretty clever because it's kind of like throwing you in a loop. Like you don't really know what's going on.
Yeah, you know what? At first, like I feel like it was kind of hard trying to be different to like do this. Like I just feel like too obvious. And then as the movie goes and it goes to like different chapter going back and forth, I kind of realized that this is the only way they can tell the story in a in a entertaining, surprising twist after twist type of way.
Hmm.
Like there is no way that they can just tell the story from beginning to end and make it, fun to
It,
watch.
yeah, it would have been boring in the
Yeah.
first part of it, but it hooks you in. There's a chase scene right when it starts, and that's like chapter three. Then they skip a whole chapter, and there's chapter five, and the characters are in an entirely different situation. You're like,
Yeah.
what the fuck happened?
I almost feel like when, the first one, after you watch chapter 3, you have your own theory. Like, you watch
Mm,
it's the trailer, right? You watch the trailer, you thought this is a serial killer, chasing after his final victim,
yeah,
this lady.
I think like after this, we'll probably get into more spoilers when we talk about this because there's a lot of twists and turns in it. But I'll leave like a time for when you can skip where we're not talking about spoilers anymore, probably in the final section. And I guess we'll just go spoilers all abound starting
Okay.
now.
Okay. So at first I thought it's serial killer documentary type. It's just telling the story of this dude who, enjoyed killing women. That's my first thought. And then later on, I'm like, okay, maybe the lady is the serial killer. Maybe because they went back to how they first met, and they're actually like an encounter of this girl having like a BDSM fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that you are familiar because it's all I thought it's like a CNC gone wrong, which is like a consent, non-consent
Yeah, yeah.
scene. I thought the girl told the dude, I thought she said, I would like you to hunt me down. Maybe that gave her like thrills.
Yeah, okay, so I was in the same mind, like I'm trying to figure out what's going on. And there's like two scenarios, and one was that, like, it was all just part of their play or something,
Yeah.
and that would have been lame, I think. But the other one is like, oh, is she actually the killer or something? And how is this working? But she turns out to be the killer, and I think the twist made sense.
Yeah, it makes sense, and it's not like absurd or, you know completely out of the world. I feel like it's either that you have your original theory, and sometimes when a movie proposed to you that what actually happens, you're like, I thought my idea is better, or that is a lame idea, that the movie was going. But this one, you kind of find out the lady is an actual serial killer pretty soon. I want to say maybe
Halfway through, yeah.
Yeah,
It's not
halfway.
like a third act twist or anything. Yeah, it's like you start out with chapter three, she's being hunted, and then she's hiding in chapter five, and then Ed Begley Jr.'s character is dead. You think he killed him,
Oh,
but it was
yeah.
actually her that killed him. So that's like that's the moment when I was like trying to think. I'm like, what? Where's this going? She didn't want her to call the cops. Either she's the killer, or she's got some dark past or something, or this is just part of their play.
Yeah, but like the twist is like boom boom boom, and like it leads your mind to all kinds of different direction. And when it does present you what actually happened, you're like, God, I can't believe I didn't think of it, or like I'm so surprised that we arrived here.
Yeah, there's another twist. I mean, it kind of like keeps escalating with the chapters. Like, find out she's the killer, okay, and then you go back a chapter, and then you find out, oh, he's a cop, and it's like it just keeps getting higher and higher the stakes, and that's a sign of a good movie. It just keeps escalating. I don't know what this movie is like trying to say, or if it's even trying to say anything. It might be just a thrilling thriller, with twists and turns, and it's supposed to be fun, but. I found it interesting, like after the cops come to the scene at the end, where the woman officer, who is kind of younger, and there's an older officer, and the younger officer is like trying to take care of her. She made it look like it's an essay,
Yeah.
and the woman cop is trying to comfort her and taking her side. It's like, we got to get her to get an ambulance and take her to the hospital or something. And the other guy's like, we need to figure out what's going on here first. So I don't know if this is like a take on like the believe women movement, where you just have to automatically believe like what a woman.
So like what?
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, okay,
Yeah, so what I see from this, I feel like it's trying to say that women can be predators as well.
yeah.
Because some.
Well, realistically, I don't know if there's ever been a woman serial killer that I ever heard of, but there might have been, but yeah, go ahead.
It's just like, especially, I don't know, on dating sites, or you meet up with a dude. It's always kind of feel like, women are always kind of like concerned about if the guy is good, if it's safe to meet up with a stranger. Like the concern is always with the guys.
Yeah, and as it probably should be, like
Yes.
statistically.
Yeah, statistically, most of the serial killers are male.
Yeah.
But I think maybe, I don't know if it's even intentionally trying to send this message, but like women can be predators as well.
That's what I was like thinking, like, and then we're gonna talk about Blink Twice, which is almost like the opposite message.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just she's like, "Yeah, don't you see that she's been assaulted and everything?" And then he's like, "Wait, we gotta," and then he kind of caves in, like,
See,
and it dooms him, you know.
bleeding with like the pants down, you
Yeah,
just
yeah.
automatically assume they're victims, and you
Act-
wouldn't like think twice. And I don't know. I feel like so many elements in this movie are trying to tell you maybe what you see is not the truth.
Yeah.
Sometimes, just because one party seem to, act weak or pretend to be innocent doesn't mean that they actually are. And I mean, on Reddit, I've read a lot of stories of some women intentionally try to play the victim, and most of the time, people believe them, and like, the things go their way, while like the guys feel like, they don't know how to defend for themselves, because just stereotype, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's the pendulum swing of society. You had this one swing where it's like you never believe a woman, she was asking for whatever, and then it goes the other way. It's like you should always believe women all the time, no matter what. And it, I'm getting into too heavy of a conversation about this because maybe the movie's trying not to say anything about it, but I just a thought that kind of like an interesting point of view of the movie. But yeah, I thought it was pretty interesting. Like she's always playing like she's ruthless and she's really good at playing the victim.
Like 3 4 times in the movie, she's like looking at you with teary eyes and ask you to help her.
Yeah.
She's like, "Can you help me, please?" And obviously, you're gonna help a poor woman who's bleeding, but
Yeah.
you don't know the context of her story. And I feel like maybe that's the message that they're trying to deliver, but they cannot deliver it super obvious, or otherwise it might attract, opposite opinion. So they kind of like deliver it really subtle, like you said. You are not even sure if it's something that they're trying to say, but I want to say that so many like part in the movie that just make you feel like, a weak women character is actually not that innocent.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So, what were what do you think is your favorite scene in the movie?
I am not prepared.
Well, you can think about it for a little bit. Yeah, I don't know if I have like a favorite scene. It might be just the scene where you find out that she's the killer, that she stabs Ed Bailey Jr. Like, what's like, whoa, okay, that happened. And then my brain is trying to work out the story, and I always like it. Like, I feel like I always predict what's going to happen in the movie anymore. And just for a movie to throw me for a loop like that, thumbs up. I love it.
Yeah.
And I like the scene where she gets like shot in the ear. That's pretty satisfying.
Oh,
Starting.
good. That felt really good. But I thought that she's gonna be like heavily wounded, but she
Yeah,
just toughen up and
yeah, just
keep
fuck
going.
Yeah, okay. And then there was another scene I want to talk about where it's at the beginning of the movie. It's like chapter 3, but it's the start of the movie. And she stops in the woods and like smoking a cigarette and pouring it. I'm like, are you fucking stupid? Because I think she's the victim, but she's not the victim because she don't care. She's the killer.
Yeah.
I think the movie would probably benefit from repeat watches just to catch stuff like that. But
Yeah, I don't know if I have a favorite scene, but I'm just like, because throughout the whole movie I didn't really have specific attention to any part. I mean, I like when they were drinking and smoking, like in the car with the neon light, and then the contrast of being of dark and light, and then
It's just shining blue on them, and they're having a conversation.
and then she asked, "Are you a serial killer?" And then it made me feel like maybe he's just not saying it, but it turns out completely the opposite. Yeah, and oh my god, like when they were in the hotel, like how it didn't really go very well at first.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't really like obviously
She's not feeling
she
it.
wasn't feeling it until like the guy was like went like completely in the dominant role, and then like she liked it, and then the fact that she like rolled her eyes and turned into a different person and
Yeah.
come back and basically like what's the word, branded the guy.
Yeah, and like I said, I haven't seen her in anything, but I thought she was incredible in that.
Yeah, really good acting skills. Her expression, I think she played a really good serial killer. You can see how her facial expression changed,
Yeah.
and you could tell that this person is not in her right mind. And then there were times that she just looked like a poor woman who's being like abused.
Mm-hmm.
That's why so many people believed her.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's got a lot of kink in this movie too.
Very keen.
Is there anything you didn't like about the movie, really?
No. I
Right.
yeah, I liked everything about this movie. I don't know if there.
I think like my one complaint is that I think it just kind of like it gets to a point in the third act where it kind of just keeps going.
Like the cops with the two cops, or
Yeah, and even after that, and the explanation, like they give an explanation of why the killer kills because they see something, and Kyle Gallner's his name in the movie is just the demon, and hers is the lady.
yeah.
So yeah, it's just a little bit of that, and maybe that breakfast scene kind of disturbed me.
Seeing, cause like how else? Cause at first she was just calling them the mountain people,
Yeah,
and the lady said, "We're not mountain people.
we're hippies.
We're just hippies, and
Yeah.
to enjoy our own life, and they're different and quirky in their own ways. Nobody in this world eat their breakfast like that, but they love each other. They giggle just looking at each other, and they share a unhealthy breakfast together. It's just an old hippie couple, and I actually love them. I think it's like you said, maybe the thing with the cop, and then she end up getting like shot. That part might be the weakest part of the whole movie, but I mean, I don't know how. I've always made excuse for the movie as in like how else would this movie end that make you feel like it wasn't dragging. You will need an answer of why this person's psycho, and it does say she see demon
Yeah.
sometimes, and she end up seeing demon in herself.
Yeah, I just think it dragged just a little bit in the third act,
A little
but
bit.
yeah, I mean, especially with the momentum it was having throughout the whole movie.
Yeah.
But that's kind of a minor complaint, I think. But anyway, you got any um spoiler-free final thoughts and a final rating for this?
Spoiler free. I think I'm gonna rate this movie 4 out of 5.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. It's
Why the minus that 1 star?
I cannot give out. I
Can't give
can
out
only
5 stars.
give out 5 out of 5.
Okay.
Okay. I think this movie is really like a high 4 out of 5
Okay.
because the story is really unique. The way it tells the story is, like you said, very very clever, very creative way of doing so, and it doesn't make you feel like it's messing up the timeline, because sometimes a movie go back and forth and you feel like sometimes it's not making sense, but this movie, I think it tells the story perfectly, and this is probably the only perfect way of telling the story. The acting, of course, is very on point. I like how the pace of this movie is just very fast. It's just boom boom boom, it tells you all about it. And I've always liked fast burns. I just want, I need to consume the content really fast. I need to know what's going on. And it gave me that satisfaction.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of love this movie because it's just like I said. I think there's a resurgence of like '90s type indie films because we're getting these huge budget blockbusters,
Yeah.
and they have to make like a $500 million just to break even. And I think bringing movies like this to the theater is a great choice. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'll go see them. Bring some interesting movies to the theaters. But it does really remind me of uh, well, they had the opening crawl of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like the serial killer. This is a true story, and then it's like got the Tarantino esque sort of grindhousey uh, stuff going on, just the way it's shot. But yeah, movies like this are usually on video on demand, and I have to like seek them out. I have to so like Last Stop in Yuma County was one that I watched recently, and yeah, just those type of movies are kind of small budget, kind of quirky. It's like movies you would see in the '90s that were trying to copy Tarantino. I liked it for the most part. I thought that all the acting was phenomenal. I think the weird mountain couple was kind of like, and then it kind of dragged a little bit at the very end, but it's not like I was totally disappointed in the third. I thought the third act was solid. As I wasn't disappointed like I was with like Long Legs and Cuckoo, but for this, I'll probably go low 4.5. Yeah,
Okay.
it's just teetering, but 4.5. I think it's probably one of my favorite movies of the year.
Yeah, I think this is the type of movie I really want to see in the theater. This is the reason why I walk into the theater.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the trailer once, and that's it, and we didn't understand what it was about, and but it intrigued us enough to want to go see it. So you don't have to give away the whole story in a trailer. You can just release it, and if it's intriguing enough, I'll go see it, and she'll go see it.
I know it isn't true. No, it isn't true. Gotcha.
That's it for our review of Strange Darling. I keep trying to say Sexy Darling or something. But yeah, leave a comment if you saw it. Tell us what you think. Leave a like and hit that bell icon and subscribe. And we'll see you later.